This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
Excited to be back with Valerie Joy Edwards. She's the owner of Valerie Joy Events, based out of beautiful Bozeman, Montana. We are going to talk more today about the amazing full service wedding and event design company, and she can handle so much. It was a pleasure speaking with you last week and seeing all these spectacular events that you put on. So, first and foremost, welcome back. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you
And
doing?
I'm doing well. It's been a good week. Kids are doing well. You know, it's getting a little cooler here in New York. I'm liking it. And the fall season, the holiday season's upon us, always puts me in a good mood. And
Not here. It's so warm here. It's unbelievably warm. Like
uh,
65 today. It's crazy.
oh my goodness.
I know.
Wow.
I know. It should be snowing.
Go for yeah, we had snow the other day. There's some squalls here on Long Island, but definitely we had snow upstate. So let's talk. I know just a little overview for new timers coming in. I'd appreciate it, and then we'll dive into what we're going to get to today.
Go ahead.
Oh, just tell us a little overview about who you are and what you do, and then we'll dive into the questions you mentioned for today.
Oh, yes, of course. Yeah. So my name is Valerie Joy Events. I am the owner of, my name is not Valerie Joy Events. Sorry. My name is Valerie Joy Edwards. I own Valerie Joy Events, an event planning company based in Bozeman, Montana, but we do travel nationwide for our event planning, and we specialize in luxury weddings and
Mm-hmm.
corporate incentive trips and executive board retreats. And I have been in business since 2014 in Bozeman, Montana.
Gotcha. Well, we're excited that you're here. And last week we got to know you, what brought you here to get into this. And we had a great conversation. To piggyback off of that, I know you want to discuss more things about events. So we're jumping into, well, how you got into event planning, or do you want to repeat that? Or just, I'm not sure, we're number 11 where we want to go for sure.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I guess since there could be some, new
Yeah.
listeners and just trying to figure out
Yeah.
Valerie Joy and how it came about, I'll just make it. I
It's
think
good
we
to
went
have
a
the
little
background.
bit
Yeah.
long with details last week, but I'll just make it super quick this time. Originally, I got started into wedding planning by working at a place called Bucks T4 Lodge in Big Sky, Montana.
Mm-hmm.
And I started working there in 2004, and we did lots of weddings at Bucks T4 and Big Sky, about 50 a year. And so that's kind of parties and events and weddings at their private homes in Big Sky. And it just kind of morphed into me starting Valerie Joy Events.
Awesome. Exciting. And, it's been amazing seeing the work that you've done and what you can do. And, people sometimes say, well, why do I need a planner? Why? There's so many reasons why. And then people also think why do they cost so much? But boy, can you explain this concept to us, what they're getting in return? And then they always realize, wow, it's actually cheaper to have a planner, right?
Yeah, so initially, I think people are a little bit sticker shocked as to what the cost of a wedding planner is, and also just the wedding in general. Weddings are pretty pricey, and I think that young new couples, newly engaged, trying to figure out and navigate that. It is very eye-opening when they realize how expensive it is to actually put together a wedding and how many logistics and vendor management and communications go into planning a wedding. And it can get very overwhelming. And especially in today's society where everybody works, you have young couples that have full-time, very busy, demanding jobs, and they really don't have the time to dedicate to planning their wedding. And so they need to hire somebody that's an expert in it, that has those vendor relationships and that knows what they're doing and have done it hundreds of times. Like this is the first time they're ever having a wedding. I've thrown probably 400 weddings in my career. So I think I would say I'm probably an expert when it comes to wedding planning. Um, and every client I've ever worked with, it just says, they said it's a wedding planner is worth its weight in gold. They're like, oh my God, I could not do this without you. This has been an amazing experience, and there's just no way I could have done this wedding without you. So I think that yes, planners are really needed, especially today in today's society with event planning and weddings, thanks to the internet and Pinterest and social media and Instagram and all those wonderful things out there that show people weddings that they want, or that they wish they could have. People are just, they want to see these weddings that they see on TV, they see on the internet. And so they're like, hey, Valerie, can you make this happen for me? Or I saw this beautiful floral arch and I really want this for my wedding. And their budget is like, I don't know, $100,000. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. We can make something like that and scale back. But the reality is that arch you just saw on Pinterest or Instagram is like $30,000.
Wow. Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Oh my goodness.
So, we as planners take those inspiration images that our clients send to us, and we help bring them to life, bring them to reality, and also give them the understanding of what it costs to do those things. And some of our clients can afford them and have whatever they want, and some of them can't, and that's okay. And we just improvise or use our expertise and knowledge with vendors to create something that's similar, but for less price.
Of course. Well, thank you so much. What else do you want to share today when it comes to cost or responsibilities?
Of the event, the complexity of the event, the scope of work of the event. Is your event at a venue? Is your event in a tent or on a private estate? Or are you having multiple events? Like, are you doing a welcome dinner on Thursday and then a rehearsal dinner on Friday and then the wedding on Saturday and then a brunch on Sunday? So all of those things can really determine what a wedding planner is going to cost and how many events you want them to execute and to manage. Also, our cost is really determined on budget. Obviously, somebody with a $100,000 budget is going to have less vendors to manage in a different type of scope of work and custom projects and installations than a client who has a budget that is 500,000 plus, right?
Yeah.
So generally, your scope of work is reflective to the client's budget, and so we set our pricing kind of based on that. So the the fee for $100,000 wedding and my time and the effort and the support team I have to hire, the number of vendors that I have to work with is going to be significantly different than a client that has a budget of a $500,000. And so you'll find that planners pricing can vary. Some planners have just like a flat fee. And especially I think when you're first starting out as a planner, that's kind of where you start at
Mhm.
is a flat fee. And you learn real quick that you need to charge more money because the work is so much more than I think you can anticipate. Some planners do a percentage model, meaning that they just charge a percentage of your overall budget. And so your planner fee can vary wildly and you can get really high unexpected bills from your planner. And so sometimes that can be challenging for the clients to really budget what their costs are going to be when they don't even necessarily know how much they're going to be paying their planner. And then I think what's more common, especially with experienced planners, that's um, more widely used, I think, across the board nationally is a combination
Yeah.
of the flat fee and the flat rate. I actually just moved I did flat rate for several years, but I've moved into the combination of flat fee plus percentage. And so I determine the flat fee based on your budget, which is about 20% of your overall budget. So my flat fee reflects that. Obviously, clients have a budget that they want to stay in, and some are really good at it, and some aren't. And some are like, yeah, I think this is what I want to spend to my wedding. And then you get in design and like floral meetings and things like that. And all of a sudden they're like, you know what? I really, really want this 20 by 20 floral dance piece, um, or floral piece over my dance floor. 20 by 20 is going to weigh about 800 pounds.
Wow.
Somebody's got to install it. Somebody's got to put the flowers on it. And all of a sudden, your floral budget that you wanted of like 15,000 is now $30,000. And so, but what you like people have to understand is when a client makes a decision like that, it's not not like, oh, we're just going to put in a 20 by 20 floral piece over the dance floor. That actually takes a lot of engineering and planning from vendors. Like I have to hire a vendor that can build the piece. Then I have to have the vendor do the florals. And then I have to have the vendor that can suspend it with the weight, right? And like mechanically engineer that. So that one piece has just turned into like four people that I have to now hire and manage and coordinate timing of installation, takedown, and things like that. And so, um, with that being said, I have a flat fee, a percentage of your budget, but then I do go in the percentage model if you go over your budget on vendors that I manage directly. So that I can get compensated for that extra time and that
Yeah.
extra work and the extra work that my team and I have to do in those extra vendor communications. Now, if you go over your budget because you bought a really expensive wedding dress, that doesn't,
Ah, what,
right?
what what are people paying for wedding dresses these days? Just curious.
It really can vary, but it just depends if you want designer or you can some I've had some brides that have found like a sample sale dress off the sale rack and paid $1,000 for it and it like fit them perfectly and
Wow.
had to have like hardly any alterations and they
Hmm.
fell in love with it. So again, that's one of those things that can really
Yeah.
vary based on client's choice. But then I had a bride who had a Monique Lhuillier gown that was like custom beautiful and it was like $20,000. So
Oh my goodness.
right. It can really vary. So like, we say you're going to spend five, $10,000 on your dress, you go shopping, all of a sudden the bride spent 20, $30,000 on her dress. That that would increase your budget, right? Your overall budget, but I don't manage that vendor or that process. So my extra fee that I would implement for the percentage would not count for that, if that makes sense. So I
Got it.
only have to implement the additional 15% fee over the client's budget if they go over the budget on vendors that I have to directly manage.
Got it.
Yeah. Or
Perfect.
another
Thank you.
good example is catering. You decided you wanted
Oh,
a New York, originally we built the budget on a New York strip, right, for a plated dinner. And then the
yep.
client was like, you know what, I really want bison. And a bison is going to cost you an extra $15 per person. It's going to make your gut budget go up. But does that really affect my scope of work? Not necessarily, right? You
Yes.
change from one protein to the next. It doesn't really cause me to have extra work. So I'm not going to charge you for that. But if we've built your budget based on 100 guests and you have now 150 guests, that absolutely changes my scope of work because now I have to add more tables, add more chairs, add more linen, add more
Got it.
centerpieces, add more place cards. Like that changes my scope of work significantly.
Great. Thank you for elaborating on that. It totally all makes sense. Okay. Love it. Love it. Love it. Valerie Joy Edwards here. Again, we're talking about Valerie Joy events. And by the way, you're in Montana, but you do some virtual, outside of town too, right? I should say.
I do, yeah. So I've been in business since 2014, and I've had the pleasure the most beautiful states in the US.
Hmm.
We have the most amazing backdrops for wedding ceremonies and receptions here, and I've been very fortunate with that. And but also with any business, you want to look to grow, to change, to evolve, and learn new things. And so I started traveling nationally for my event planning, and I have a couple weddings out of state next year, one in Chicago and one in Arizona. And it's so fun for me to, I love to travel anyway. So now I get to travel and
Uh-huh.
kind of paid to do it. But also just like learning from other vendors in other markets and how they do things and how weddings are run in other places. And you can learn so much just by getting out of your little bubble and world you're in. Like we have certain systems and ways we do things here, right?
I'm
That
sure.
work or
Yeah.
maybe don't work. Or I've learned like traveling and going into other locations, like, oh, you know what? The vendor or the caterer does this a little bit differently here than what we normally do here, but I actually like how they do it. So then I can take some of those experiences and bring them back to this market as well. So I'm very excited to kind of just travel around the United States and just see how weddings are done in other locations. It's fun.
Me too. All right. What else do we have on tap for today, darling?
Um, let's see. So we were talking a little bit about, so what we're talking about planners. Why do planners cost so much? Kind of how do we price ourselves? What does that look like? And so, I what do you get? Like, what do you
Yeah.
get with a wedding planner? Like, what are you paying for, right? And I think that what you get, I only do full service now. There are other planners out there that do like semi full service and month of planning. I don't offer month of planning anymore. That is like the lower price range you can get into for a wedding planner. And if you are on a tight budget, I highly recommend at the very least hiring a month of planner, because you trying to run your wedding day and the vendors and who's setting up and when and all of that on your wedding day is just, it's not going to be fun for you or your family. So at the very least, I recommend everybody get a month of planner. Day of planners don't exist anymore. It's not a thing. Nobody can come in the day of your wedding and
No.
understand what they're doing. You're literally just putting out fires all day, and it's super stressful and it's not fun for anybody. So you at least need like that 30 days to come in as a
At
planner,
least. Yeah.
look at the project, look what the client's done. I mean, I used to do it. I don't do it anymore, but I've come into a wedding 30 days out and found out that the client hired a caterer that doesn't bus tables, like doesn't
Oh,
clear plates and silverware, and they rented plates and silverware. That the caterer only works with paper products, and like, no, sorry, that's just not a service that we do. And you're like,
what? Wait. Oh
oh,
no.
you're catering, but you're telling me that you're not going to clear plates and silverware and wash them and put them back in the rental containers. If you're not doing it, who's doing it, right? Like, who's going to do that? And
Hmm.
so, luckily, I came in 30 days and figured this out and had these conversations. And, as a client, fine, at
Awesome.
least we figured it out in advance. So I had my client hire just like servers essentially. Like we just contracted servers and had servers come in and clear the plates and wash the silverware. But those are like really big things that you really need a planner to pay attention to and notice those things. Because I've heard horror stories where this has happened to people before that didn't hire a planner. And all of a sudden, the family finds out at 11 o'clock at night that they have to wash all the dinner plates and silverware after the wedding. It's horrible.
Can
Could
you
you imagine?
imagine? Oh my gosh. And the bride, like in her dress, and like,
Yes,
yeah.
but it's happened. It absolutely has happened to people before, and so you really got to know the questions to ask vendors and what they're doing. But so back to like what's included and what's not included. With when you're in a full service planning contract with a planner, those are all the things that are going to be managed and controlled by the planner. Like there's not going to be any surprises. Like you're not going to find out 30 days before that you got to hire 5 servers to clear your event space because we're going to make sure that we're hiring vendors that are going to provide that service. Like we know those things and those things don't come up, so we don't have all those fires to put out per se. Semi full service, you get a little bit, you get a lot more, but there's just some certain things that the client does have to do on their own, but we're very clear about that. Like if you're going into semi full service, here's like your list of duties. This is what you'll be doing and this is what we'll be doing. And still coaching and helping along the way. And then the month of just like, okay, let's see what you did and let's see what we can fix. We've got 30 days to make sure everything's going to be perfect. But we do creative development a lot. Some planners only do logistics. Some planners do event design and logistics. We do both. And so we do creative development, event design, decor, linens, tabletop, florals, like just custom installation, custom pieces, whatever it is that looks like that we manage all of that. We obviously do all the vendor sourcing and communication and management with all the vendors. And we handle the budgeting, we manage the budgeting with our clients and try to keep our clients on budget. All the logistics, timelines, table maps. You got to know, you've got to make sure that you've got your flooring vendor coming in before your tent vendor sets up. And the flooring tent has to be set up before the staging can be set up. So just making sure all the timing of those things are happening when they're supposed to happen as vendors arrive and set up and take down. And then, of course, the execution of the events.
Amazing. Wow. There's so much that goes into this. I can't believe it. I can only imagine. And you're working, doing these parties and events for how many people? Up to what? How many people?
So we are a little bit limited in our market. We don't really have any venues in this market that can seat over 300 people.
It's
That
still a
just
lot. My goodness. I'm
it's still a
sorry.
lot, but like we just don't have those venues. So most of our weddings, I know in like big cities, they have big ballrooms and hotels and event centers that can obviously seat well over 300 people, but we just don't have that. And so is pretty high for our guest list. I think the biggest one I ever did was a tented wedding in Big Fork, Montana for 250.
Wow.
That
I
was
mean,
that was the largest one that I had done.
amazing. Amazing. All right. What else is in tap for today, darling? We still got 7 more minutes left in the show.
Okay, great. What else are we going to talk
Six.
about?
Sorry. Go ahead. Six. Sorry. But well, I
Minute.
mean,
Um,
you as a planner, go ahead.
oh, I'm just trying to think. I'm just kind of like looking at my notes and oh, I know. Another thing too that's really great. We're talking about planners. What do they cost? What do they do? How do they help you? Another thing about a planner that I think people miss, because you see Pinterest, you see all these things, and you're like, I want these beautiful things for my wedding. And you can kind of grasp and get some ideas on the like normal vendors, right? You got your entertainment, you've got your florist, you got your cake, all of those things. We start building out in the budget. But the other thing that planners help you with is kind of like those hidden fees that you don't necessarily think about. And we help put those in the budget after we're contracted. That's the first thing we do is we go over the budget and all of these things that are going to cost you to have this wedding. And some hidden fees might be like transportation, right? Like maybe you don't want transportation, maybe you didn't even think that you would need transportation at that the venue that you're
Yeah.
at, limited parking of the venue that you picked, and so you got to have
Hmm.
transportation. Um, if you're doing a tent wedding, power, a generator, right? Maybe you have to have two or three generators because you picked a location or did it in your backyard and there's no power anywhere. Things like that. So we can help figure out
Hmm.
what all those hidden fees are that maybe clients wouldn't necessarily pick about or think about. Or, you're traveling with your wedding dress on a plane and your bridesmaids are as well. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh crap, my dress is going to get wrinkled. And what am I going to do? Does the venue have a steamer? But does the client really want to steam their dress themselves? No. So you got to hire somebody to come in and like steam all the dresses and make sure that they're ready. And have lunch delivered the day that you're the wedding day because those are just things you don't think about that really are built into that wedding cost and that wedding budget. Lodging, airfare, travel. You got to like work all of that's got to get built into all of that.
Oh my goodness. On a grand scale, how many events can you handle at a time? I mean, what the amount of staff that you must have?
Yeah, so I myself personally, gosh, back in the day, I would do like 15 events a year, but I wasn't doing the high-end luxury stuff like I'm doing now is a little bit different. But now I only do a handful where I'm the lead of the wedding. So I do really limit my client intake because it is a lot of work. It's a lot of time. But I do have the two lead associate planners that work for my company as well. So I do 5 events myself and have some support staff that help with just like admin work. And then my two lead associate planners will also take on their own weddings through Valerie Joy Events. Like I help book it, facilitate it, contract it, invoice it, oversee the project with the client. But my client will work with either Amy or Anna, and it's actually their choice. And I'm very upfront. Like you're not hiring me as your lead, you're hiring Amy or with. Um, so that allows us to scale the business a little bit more and take on more events because we have two other amazing, very experienced planners that are planning events for the company. And then I have a great team of like 7 girls that have been helping me over the years, just as like day of coordinators. They all have other jobs, but this is like their fun job and they love helping Valerie Joy events on the weekends, just with setting up tables, breaking down, helping manage the event and the vendors. And they've been with me several years. But then I have a whole list of like 20 some on call day of coordinators to help out with events because if myself, Amy, and Anna all book a wedding on the same day,
Yeah.
we have 15 people working to
Wow.
execute those weddings. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And what drives you? Well, what sets you apart, would you say, than other competitors out there in the market in your area?
I've heard from clients that I think a few things that set me apart is communication is super important to me. I'm very quick about getting back to people and staying up on the communication with both vendors and the clients. And I think that's really, really important that they're getting that consistent communication with me. And another thing I've heard from clients and even vendor partners is that like I listen to my clients,
Mm-hmm.
what they want. Yes, I am like an expert in the industry and I kind of have an idea of what things do or don't work or but ultimately it's their wedding and I may not 100% agree on the napkin color that they chose or whatnot, but at the end of the day, it's their wedding, it's what they want. And so I'm going to listen to them and make sure that they're getting the wedding that they want, that they've dreamed of, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
And wow. Okay. Well, also, if you are tuning in, it's Valerie Edwards and Valerie Joy Events.com. I know that's amazing. You can check her out there. She has been voted top 10 event planners who create moments and to remember in 2024. That was by MSN.com, but really received many accolades. And, it speaks volumes. And of course, your testimonials of all the people you've helped and looking at the events. And my goodness. Well, to sum up for today, did you want to read a testimonial or two?
Well, I thought about that or because I know this is video as well.
Yes,
We
go
had talked
ahead.
about maybe showing a video. So I have a video
Oh
that I maybe
gosh.
wanted to pull from my Instagram. Can we do that or
Oh
no?
yeah. Well, at this point, yeah, because we have to share it at a certain time in the show. But
Oh, okay. Well,
um,
maybe next week. We could do that
let's do
next
it
week.
next week. Yeah, we'll
Okay.
start on
Okay.
camera because then you have to wait a few minutes with the editing. So yes, but we'll definitely
I
share it
see.
next
I
week.
see.
But tell us in the meantime
Yeah.
how we can go to your Instagram. We'll do that for now, and then give us a prelude to next week. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, yeah, go to the Instagram. My Instagram, it has great videos, pictures, photos of things and events that I've done throughout the years. It's Valerie Joy Events, so pretty easy to find the Instagram there. Next week, I thought that next week it would be really fun to talk about what are vendor responsibilities
Okay.
on the event day? Like whose job is what on the event day? Because you'd be really surprised, especially now that I'm traveling and learning what other people do. How many vendors are like, well, we don't do that, or we've never been
Well,
asked to do that. But you would naturally think that that would be their scope of work. So like
all right.
a caterer clearing plates and silverware.
That got me today. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah,
Pleasure having you
yeah.
again, and we'll see you next week, and we'll definitely share that screen. Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.